Farm. Today I am loom knitting a diaper cover, or some people might call them bloomers, but I just think it's as a diaper cover because you can do these bloomers. I think of more as for a girl baby, and diaper cover just just like a pair of little pants to go over. I used as a model for the size and everything. I took this one off one of my antique dolls that I had this on. These are like a 6 to 9 months little diaper cover, bloomer, pants, whatever you want to call it. When they were fully stretched out, they were 20 inches in diameter. I measured on the loom. I sort of want to aim for 11 to 12 inches wide. And so I'm using this longer adjustable loom that I have. And let me see how many pegs I have. One, two. So 31 long, so that would be 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. So 72 pegs around. It will turn out to be about this width. I'm aiming for like about a 9-month or 6-month to 9-month size. Now I'm using this Bernat baby coordinates, and it is or Bernat, however you want to say that. It's the strawberry, and it's like a pink and white variegated, and it is that real lightweight. It's a 3 weight because it's lightweight, like a baby yarn. I've got 2 skeins, both 120 gram or 4.25 ounces. So I got 2 of them. The reason why I'm doing 2 of them, yarn itself is so thin that I didn't want gaps in between, big gaps in between it, so I put 2 of them together. So I went ahead and went around, and I want to do, if you've ever done a hat, then you know you want to do a brim, like a hat brim or rim or whatever you want to call it, cuff. And why I'm going to do this is I'm going to make that cuff into the top of the pants. I'm going to make it into a casing. A casing is like a tunnel where you, like on curtains or sweatpants, where you feed a drawstring. I knitted about, it's going to be about 2 1/4 inches wide. So when I fold it over, it's going to be a little bit over an inch. I wanted a wide, I was going for a look with a wider casing at the top. So how you do a cuff, if you haven't watched my how to do a hat video. My how to do a hat video talks about how to do the cuffs and everything. I think it might be in the intro to loom knitting in the sock video too. You want to start with wherever that first loop is that you made. And because you've knitted I knitted 2 1/4 inches of knitted fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it up, and you want to look for your loops. And you want to put those, you want to pull those over your pegs. So you're pulling it straight up, you've knitted it down, it looks like this, it's underneath. Pull it up like you're folding it in half, and we're going to put all those loops back on our pegs. I'm going to go around and do that. And this is the same way you make a folded over cuff for whatever you're doing, sock, hat. Again, I will state I only use the E-wrap stitch. I'm not doing a bunch of fancy stuff. So that's all it is. It's that, I always say I didn't learn it. I learned it as the stocking knit stitch, and I guess now it's referred to as an E-wrap. Now you see there is, like, you can see it from underneath, it looks like a casing or a waistband. So now I'm going to go, and how you do, I'm sorry, you just want to do it just like you do any other loom knitting. You just take that bottom loop, pull it over, so now we've got a single loop again. Okay, totally around. So now I have, and you can see it's like a cuff. Okay, so I want to loom knit for approximately 8 to 8.5 inches of loom knitted fabric. So I'm going to go around and obviously I'm not going to show this being filmed because it's going to be a few hours. And I'm going to just like you just do, you're just going to do your E-wrap all the way around. And every so often you want to stop and measure it and see about where you got. Get this to the end. And thing I use a lot in sewing all my crafts is I use my hands as measurements. The top of my index finger is almost exactly an inch. So I'm able to use my top of my index finger. Yours might vary, but go ahead and measure the parts of your hand so you know how long they are. From the ball or base or whatever you want to call it of my middle finger, not my fingernail, but the middle finger. If I put that down on a tape measure, not the fingernail, and lay my hand flat, from the top of my middle finger to the base of my hand is exactly 7 inches. So base of my hand be right here where my wrist starts. So I know I want to do a little bit longer than my hand's length of knitted fabric. This is a really good way to give yourself approximate measures, is to know the length of the top part of the top of your digit of your finger and your whole hand. Also, sometimes my entire entire index finger is 3 inches long, so that's also a good thing. So top is 1, and then a whole finger is 3, and then my entire hand is 7 inches. Now I have long fingers, and I've always thought I had skinny hands, but I have big hands. I only wear a 4 1/4 ring size, but I have really long fingers. So when I go to a jeweler and I hold up my hand, they automatically think like a 7, and they'll pull it out, and then I'll be like, no, it's a 4 1/4. And a lot of times some of the jewelers just don't believe me because they see how long my fingers are. But I have and if you see, this is a 4, these are 4 1/4, and they still move around. So your digits might not be the full inch or 3 inches. Measure yours, see what your top of your index finger is, or whichever one is the closest to an exact inch, so you can use that. I'm going to go around and I'm going to loom knit approximately 8 inches or 8.5 inches of knitted fabric, and then we'll come back and we'll look and see what we have, and we'll probably be close to taking it off of the loom then, and we'll be forming the legs and the crotch portion of the pants, and I'll show you. We're going to be doing some hand sewing on those, and then we're going to be folding under the legs and forming like a hem. I have finished loom knitting the I'm getting caught in my own sweater. Little diaper cover, and we're going to take it off the loom and make the leg holes and sew the crotch. I'll be using this longer. If you watch any of my loom knitting videos, I like this long. It's like I got it in the upholstery like kind of section of the fabric store. I'm going to have an extra long bit of my yarn here because I'm using it to sew. Take it off the loom just like you would normally. Enough each. Okay, I have it off the loom, and if it looks a little big, remember there's going to be some shrinkage when you wash it, so you always want to make sure you make it a little larger. So with the cuff and everything, it comes to 7 3/4 of an inch, almost 8 inches. I was aiming for 8 inches, came in a little short. That's okay. Now I have this long length of yarn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it inside out. Okay, now we want to go here in the middle, just about 10 inches. So 5 inches is our center. Inches, so that's about right. So the rest of the legs, I'm going to fold up, just like if we were working with fabric, we'd be making a hem. If you find your leg holes are too large, if you have a kiddo with skinny legs, there is elastic thread that you can buy, and it actually looks like thread, but it is elastic, and you can sew that. You could do it in and out, just in and out, in and out, and make it so it is like elastic, and so the legs get a little tighter. But I think it's going to be okay, especially once it gets washed and everything. And since I'm putting mine on an actual doll, I don't have any babies in diapers anymore. It's not that big of a concern for me. And remember, this is a diaper cover, so kiddo would be wearing diapers. Okay, so that's about... Alright. Now, since wherever your yarn ends up being is probably where you need to start. Since I'm over here, I'm just going to start I'm just going to be just like I would take a hem. And you'll find that the other side is very forgiving. When you sew on knitted fabric, it is a very forgiving sort of situation. It gets lost in those. To start with, I'm just going to do just over the top one stitch, just to sort of signify that that's the beginning. And then you're just going to sew it in and out, just like you would if you were sewing fabric. Come over here and just do over the top, signify the end of the crotch. Now we're going to do this hem, then we're going to come back around here on a blanket stitch right here on this seam, and then we're going to finish up this leg hole. So we will be coming back over that. So let's do this hem over here. Now you see the importance of having the long, if you do run out of yarn, you're just going to have to join your yarn, just tie it in a knot and join it as best as possible and try to get that, keep that knot in the back, in the inside of the pants. Okay, when you get back to the crotch seam here, we are going to do a blanket stitch around just that seam. This serves two purposes. One, it makes your crotch stronger, because this is where it gets a lot of wear and pull and everything. Two, it covers up that bottom part so there's no unraveling. And three, it gets us back to the other side so we can finish the other leg. Now, if you find yourself for some reason you've got stranded over on one side of the pants and you need to get back over, just do this again. It doesn't matter. You know, if you have multiple blanket stitching there, it's just going to make your diaper cover stronger, and it's inside and no one really sees it. So it's just a sort of an easy way to get back over to the other side. All right. Over here, we're going to finish this hem. Got a center seam just like if we were sewing, and we got 2 leg holes. And if you wanted to put the elastic, you could do it around there. You could also buy like elastic lace. It's got a lace and elastic on it, and you just sew that on top, and you probably make it, you don't want to make it half of the length, but I would measure my baby's legs and I would measure the baby's legs is what I would do. But because I'm doing a doll, this is going to be great for me. So you decide if you need to do anything else. Also remember, when you wash it, it will tighten up. So I wouldn't do anything to it really until you wear it once. You might find that that is plenty of room, and it's not gapping at all. And you might not want to, once it's washed, you can try it on again and see what you think. Now at the top, you could do a drawstring or you can do elastic. I'm going to put elastic in mine. So how am I going to do the elastic? So first of all, I'm going to measure 1 piece of elastic there across the top. I'm going to measure a second one. And I'm going to cut it at the half. So it's 1.5 times is what I need 2 safety pins. Bigger. Let's put the bigger one. And I'm going to do this in the inner back. And first of all, I'm just going to find a spot, like one of the holes there. And I'm going to hook it on there so it doesn't get lost. Then I'm going to put the other. It works bigger. If you have bigger ones, it's going to work better. Bigger safety pins, it's going to work better for you. I'm going to put it in there. So now I've got it hooked to the pants and hooked to there. Now I want to find just any random hole in here. And I want to go between this casing, because we have like a cuff, remember? And now be careful not to ram it through the other side. You want to keep it in the casing. And I'm just going to push it along inside, just like if you were sewing a pair of pants or a tote bag or anything that had a casing. This cuff in this project is not a cuff or a brim, it is a casing for the pants. Alright, so now I've got these 2 pieces of elastic. Take this off and hold on to it. Same thing with the second piece, I gotta take off the safety pin for here. Now, you can sew it. What I'm going to do is just tie it in a knot. That way if it stretches out, or if I need to tie it tighter, I can come back and untie it and then tie it again, cut it off, or whatever. Okay, so I have it see, and after I tied the knot, it disappeared right in there. Okay, in the course of making, I was making it for this big, she's 24 inches, she's a life-size baby. She wears about a 9 months size, 6 to 9 months, depending on the brand, the clothes, just like a baby. The cat was beneath my feet, and I fell on my doll, and I shattered her leg. So I put a sock. I think I can repair her leg. It's in like 3 pieces. I'm gonna have to use a lot of filler. Anyway, so I put a sock over her jagged remains so it didn't mess up all my hard work, because it's sharp and it would have pulled. Her other leg looks like this one. So I was just devastated, but I was glad it was, if it had to be anything, I was glad it was her leg, which can be covered up with her clothes. Arms are really hard because everyone can see those. And her head, if I would have done her head, it would have been just game over. She's a 100-year-old doll. I really love this doll. F&B Bubbles is what this doll is. These big ones are really hard to find, not destroyed. And they're just hard to find because they were the biggest one, and usually the biggest one equals the expensive one. And in the 20s and the early 30s, nobody had any money because it was the Depression. And so it was really rare for a little girl to have this big size Bubbles doll. But I love this doll because I love antique clothes, doll clothes. And this dress I made, I bought this bonnet, and then I couldn't find the pink to match it because it's old. and so it has aged and changed colors. So what I ended up doing was buying a little girl size 6 dress that was a vintage antique dress, and I took it apart and I used that fabric to make, off of a 1928 pattern, make this baby dress that would match the pink of the ball. I was really sad, not to mention I cut my knee up because this is like wood pulp. She's composition, so this is wood pulp and adhesive basically is what it is. But it's almost like I don't know how to describe it underneath of it, like a honeycomb. It's durable, very durable. They used to call them the can't break 'em dolls, but it's sharp when it gets cracked because it's like shards. So anyway, so I was just pretty devastated really. Here's the pants. You can see what they look like in our elastic. Like I said, if you wanted to do a drawstring, or you could also just sew a ribbon on here if you wanted to. So she wears a 6 to 9 months. So this pants that we made that's what it is. It's about 6 to 9 months, probably 9. I think it looks cute. Here's the bottom. And it is perfect for what I wanted for this dress, so I'm very happy. And I gotta fix her leg. That's gonna be a long process, unfortunately. I hope you are able to use this diaper cover. And just to me, a lot of dresses come with no matching panties, and I'm one of those people. I just didn't like my daughter's diapers showing, or my son's really. To me, it was like underwear showing, and I just didn't go with that. I wanted them covered. So you can sew bloomers or pants and little, diaper cover, but there's not lacy, and if you change your yarn colors, obviously it looks just as well on a boy as it does a girl. It's like a unisex diaper cover. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and thank you for joining us today. Bye.